Today we're going to be demonstrating how to safely fill and change CO2 canisters on an anesthetic machine. Here at the college we have these two types of CO2 canisters and I will demonstrate both of those. Here on the table are the supplies that you will need to safely change the canisters. I have the soda lime granules that you can find in the treatment room in the cupboard underneath the front counter. I have a pair of gloves, a respiratory mask, a pre-labeled piece of tape with the date that it's changed and my initials. And then there's this extra spare piece of tape that is required for only one type of canister, which I will demonstrate shortly. So I'm going to get my supplies on. Okay, so the first canister that will change is this canister. What you want to do is you want to pull on this knob here, pull it down and towards you so it loosens the canister. What that does is it unlocks it and allows me to pull this down. So see how there's now a space here? So it pulls that down. Now I can lift this and slide it out. Okay, so now what I will do is I will get my garbage can, take my CO2 canister, hold it over the garbage can so any dust that comes from the granules will fall into the garbage can. Fill it. And note that you want to fill it almost to the top. Okay, so almost to the top of that line there. Okay, so you have a little bit of space at the top there. Okay, and you'll see there's a line right here that says this is the maximum fill line, so you don't want to go above that. So where we are right now is a good level. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide it back into place, and you can feel that it sits properly on the little circle ledge there. And then I'm going to put my hand on top just to secure it. Then I'm going to take the handle and I'm going to pull it back up and lock it in place. Okay, now the filling is complete and I'm going to put a sticker with the date and my initials of when it was changed. If you're changing a CO2 canister that already has granules in it, such as this canister here, what you would like to do, and I'll demonstrate how to safely take that off in a minute, what you need to do is make sure that you observe and check the granules. So with your gloves on, evaluate the granules to see how exhausted they are. Exhausted granules will look very dry and they'll feel brittle and they won't have a lot of that excess dust that the new ones have. These ones sort of have that extra dust that will fall off of them. The exhausted granules will not have that and they will look much drier and much more brittle. They will also be a shade of purple when they're exhausted. Please note that when the anesthetic machines are in use, the granules may have a purple hue to them, but it's a very light purple hue. When they're completely exhausted, they're going to remain a shade of darker purple, very similar to the grip on this pen. Now, for this type of canister, you have to be very careful because there isn't a ledge to hold this in place. Here is the locking screw to keep it in place. You must always have your hand on the bottom of the canister to prevent it from falling on the floor. I am going to unscrew the knob, so I'm turning it counterclockwise. And I can feel that it's already loose. Then I'm going to take my other hand and wiggle it off. If it's not going to come off, loosen it a little bit more, and there we go. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump the granules into the garbage bag. See all that dust? That's why we wear our masks. And then if you see here, this is the screw hole that attaches the canister to the anesthetic machine. You do not want to get any granules in this hole. So to prevent that from happening, take a piece of tape and cover it up like that. Okay? From there, we'll take our granules, and then now we don't have to worry. We can just do this over top of the garbage can, and we can pour our granules into our canister. And again, we're going to fill it almost to the top. Okay, so see how the granules are on top of where that hole would have been? That's why it's very important to cover that up with a piece of tape. Okay, so if you can see, you want to try and get it almost as equal as possible and as close, about that high from the top. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel that piece of tape off. That dust. Now, if you look at the top of this canister, you'll notice that there's a little notch right here at the front. You have to be aware of that because when you put it in, you'll see you have to line up the screw with the screw hole, and you have to fit this little notch right up into the machine. It's the only way that it will fit in. If you put it in off center and with the notch not in the correct spot, what will happen is you'll have an enormous leak in your anesthetic system. Now I'm holding and pushing up with my hand, my left hand, and then up here I am turning the locking knob clockwise till it's finger tight, and I always just give it a little shake to ensure that it's in there and secure before I let go. From there, I'm going to take my pen. I'm going to write today's date on that little piece of tape that I had to cover the notch, and my initials. I'm going to take that piece of tape, stick it on the canister, and we should be good to use it. If you have any further questions, please refer to the SOP for that information. And again, if you are pregnant or if someone that you work with is pregnant, please do not do this in their vicinity. Thanks.